Life without a challenge is bleak, meaningless, and pointless. Now, you might say that life in and of itself is challenging, but our lives in this day and age is so simple compared to how our ancestors had it that we need to create and synthesize artificial challenges in order for us to truly find meaning and a sense of purpose throughout our lifetime. If you're the kind of person who sits there and cannot directly tell us what you are trying to achieve with your life, you are losing, and you are a loser. I'm sorry to say, but that's why we're here today, to talk to y'all about why a man needs a challenge.
A lot of y'all are living a monotonous life. Now, when I say monotonous, not all of you may know exactly what that means, so I'll give you the definition here. Dull, tedious, and repetitious, lacking in variety and interest, right? And in my opinion, when you start to live a monotonous life, that's when you start to experience certain things like mental health issues, right? I would say, because a lot of our viewers like to interact on our posts and our polls that we post on a weekly basis, and they normally check the box for mental health as far as what they'd like to hear discussed on the podcast. And in my opinion, you're living that life of depression, anxiety, and whatnot because you're experiencing the same thing, the same dull life, the same fucking regular day-to-day shit that you do all the fucking time, and you're unhappy with it. And if you're feeling unhappy, even though we don't really think of it as a sign, to me, that's the most natural sign from God, the universe, or whatever you believe, that something's not right. If you're sad, if you're depressed, if you're not excited about what you're doing, that means that it is a sign for change. You need to do something. You need to get up off your ass and do something else. And I think, as men especially, that's what we're here to do. We're here to not just do the fucking regular 9-to-5 shit. We weren't built for that. It's like taking a cheetah and putting it in a zoo, in a closed encapture, right? You have that cheetah. It can't run at the speeds of what it would normally run. And a lot of people would say, well, that's basically what the cheetah is built for. It's built for speed. Like how the structure of its bones are, how the structure of its tail is, you know, the fur that it has compared to other shit that cheetahs have that other animals don't have, because the cheetah is built for speed. Taking it out of that environment where it can excel at that speed would reduce the cheetah to something, you know, we just say it's a regular fucking cat. It's not even a cheetah anymore, right? It's just a regular fucking cat. It doesn't do what the fuck it's made to do. Well, we're made to be on this earth to challenge ourselves, to exceed our expectations, to push ourselves past our perceived limits. And when we do that, we build a better society, not only for us, but for the world around us. And every time that a man has taken up the challenge to do something in life, to surpass their expectations, to surpass what society deems as reality and what can be done, new great inventions arise that we use to this day. This fucking camera that we're seeing this podcast on right now, laptops, this glass, the shit in the glass, the microphone, the fucking planes that we fly on, the cars that we drive in.
Even our brains, because of the education that we have and
exactly.
the people we surround ourselves with.
Exactly. So a man, woman, what have you, decided to say, you know what? I'm going to challenge myself and get out of my comfort zone, and I'm going to try this thing. And not only did their life get better, but it improved the livelihood and well-being of every single person that steps foot on this earth from that point forward. So the challenge of wanting to do better, of wanting to innovate, wanting to create is something that I believe that once you start to do, of course, initially it's going to be difficult, but it's going to feel like second nature to you. Why? Because that's exactly what you, me, Jose, all of us are here to do. We're not here to be constricted and confined by society's 9-to-5 expectations of us. We're here to be that cheetah that runs wild, that runs fast, and innovates and creates and challenges each other to push the bounds of what we deem acceptable and what we deem feasible in society. And once we do that, we're happier, we're better husbands, better friends, better family members, and better overall contributors to society.
Now, I want to point out this doesn't just apply to men.
Correct.
We're just only speaking from the perspective as men because we are men. So that's really what we know. You can and you should seek a challenge, whether you're a male, a woman, whatever you choose to identify as. Even your dog looks for challenges because he challenges your patience.
Oh, for sure.
I could talk about a lot of things here, and I don't know, Austin. Should I go the
It's Friday
route,
and
or should I go the how do you determine what challenge you should impose? Should I be instructional or should I be motivational?
whatever you choose to do, I'll do the opposite. Do motivation.
Yeah, I like that. Which is not the nice one.
Yes.
So you might find yourself shying away from a challenge because it's uncomfortable and it's painful. Well, newsflash, bucko. You're a bitch.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean that disrespectfully.
Oh, yes. Wow.
If you're somebody who shies away from a challenge, nobody is going to sympathize for you and nobody will ever remember you. Your life will be full of what ifs. Your life will be full of anxiety and stress. Your life will be full of disrespect, and you will be a fool in your life, which is full of pain and suffering. Why? Because you failed to make a simple decision and decide on one thing, because your incapacity to be decisive has led you down a treacherous and tremorous path as you are becoming a traitor, not to humanity, first and foremost to yourself. You failed to select a singular task of which you will excel in. Whether it be a career, whether it be a profession, you might make the best wine in the world. You might have the best podcast in the world, as Chris Williamson is currently working towards. You might be one of the best entrepreneurs in the world and working to be better, such as Elon Musk, such as Jeff Bezos, such as Alex Hormozi. You may choose to be one of the best athletes of all time, such as Usain Bolt, Michael Jordan, Messi, Ronaldo. You may go down the list. You may choose to be the best musician. You may choose to be the best whatever. You could be the best politician. You could be LBJ. You could be ruthless in how you are attacking whatever it is that you are attacking. However, you chose nothing. You chose nothing. One more time. You chose nothing. It might be easy to sit back, drink a couple of beers, stuff your fat ass with some fucking steaks and Cheetos, and sit there and fucking beat your meat to fucking Pornhub and shit. It might be easy to do all that. It's hard to get a nice wife. It's hard to get a great job. It's hard to eat healthy. It's hard to get in shape. It's hard to save money. It's hard to build wealth. It's hard to gain respect. It's hard to balance your family, your business, your woman, everything. But that's what gives it meaning. That's what gives it purpose. Wouldn't you rather struggle and create a story than never struggle and be a little pampered princess that nobody respects? And Austin, you have something written here, so I'm gonna let you go there.
Now, I'd say a wise person learns from other people's mistakes. A dumb person learns from their own. Now, newsflash, a lot of people are fucking stupid. And
But not
the
y'all,
old
'cause
me,
y'all are watching the podcast.
Yeah.
Y'all are geniuses.
the old me, myself included, and I hope y'all are geniuses and y'all actually apply what we're telling you as opposed to it happening to you. But what I'd say that Jose and I both encountered somewhat, which I think is important. I think every entrepreneur, every successful person either experiences this or they know someone who has experienced it and they saw it and it basically guided them and nudged them to become the person that they are today. I believe that hitting rock bottom is very necessary to your overall growth. And I know it might sound, backwards. Like, okay, how the fuck, why would I hit rock bottom in order for me to go upward, right? But in my opinion, once you hit rock bottom, there's only one way that you could fucking go. Up. You have no other choice but to pull yourself up and get the fuck to work once you hit rock bottom. And when I hit rock bottom, having that experience is such a humbling experience because you're just like, man, I got myself here. I got myself into a shitty ass situation that I thought I might not even come out of. But I said, well, look, if there's any way possible, even the slightest way possible for me to get out of this, I'm going to fucking do it. Why? If I was comfortable in my fucking, chair, my nice lazy boy, watching fucking Game of Thrones or some shit, watching the playoffs, eating fucking popcorn and chips and all that type of shit, would I feel motivated to do better? Fuck no. I'm comfortable. But once you hit fucking rock bottom, there's nowhere that you can fucking go but up. And you have to fucking pull yourself up and do it. You have no other choice. And nobody else is going to do it for you. So you have to work. So hitting rock bottom, in my opinion, is necessary. It's crucial. It's imperative that you do that if you've gotten yourself to that situation. But again, if you were smart, you realize, hey, Austin hit rock bottom. Jose hit rock bottom. I know other people that hit rock bottom. It sucked. It seemed very painful. And they had to pull themselves up and get to where they are today. I don't want to do that. I'm living pretty comfortably right now, but I want to work. So imagine you saying that you want to work and actually do the work, and you're starting from here. Rock bottom's out here, but you're starting from here. That means that you're able to go into whatever endeavors that you have with a clearer mind, more optimism, potentially more money than us starting down here who had to learn the hard way and hit rock bottom. Now, when you hit rock bottom, you learn one of the best things that I think you can as an entrepreneur and just human being in general, which is being resilient. And when you're resilient, especially with all the fucking punches that come your way on the way to the top, having that skill can get you very, very far. And if you're pampered and if you're comfortable, you don't have that resiliency that someone who hit rock bottom has. But again, you have all these other things going for you that you could use. So if you're living a decent life right now, but you know that you could do better, get the fuck to work. This is your sign to do so. But if you have to hit rock bottom, hit it. Hit it hard. And when you do, again, you have no other choice but to pull yourself back up. And when you do that, and you work, and you work, and you work, you'll be proud of yourself for the person that you became. Because knowing that you could have stayed down here, knowing that you could have checked out of this thing called life if you wanted to, but you decided to keep going, that's something that you can hold with you for the rest of your life and be like, wow, I did that shit. And once you have done that, I'm not gonna say the rest of the shit's gonna be easy, but you know that you can come out of the worst and be okay. And if you know that, because you've experienced it before, that can take you a long way, and that can allow you to deal with the punches that life throws at you.
And you might ask, where do I start? How do I decide what the challenge that I should approach is? It's very simple. Pick a damn thing. You won't know if what you choose is the right thing. You're never going to know. You're never going to know if you made the right decision until years down the line, if ever. You have to have the courage and be bold enough to make decisions without knowing whether or not you're going to succeed, without knowing whether or not it's the right thing to do, without knowing whether or not you will be okay, without knowing whether or not you will be alive tomorrow. There are hundreds of decisions that we make in a day, and we don't always know the outcome. We have a predicted outcome, but it's not in our nature to take risks without knowing the outcome in certainty. And you need to train this muscle. You need to train the capacity and the ability to move forward irrespective of the circumstances. There is a gentleman who plays chess, who we know very well, who says, in life, all you have to do, if you stare at the board and you're fucked, you still have to make the best move on the board because the game's not over. You don't need to think about, wow, I'm going to lose the game. Who gives a fuck? Do the best you can and win what you can. If you're destined to lose, at least win where you can. And Austin, you have a quote from Elon Musk here.
I have a couple that are in my mind.
Okay.
But we'll start with the Elon Musk quote.
Yeah.
Because I just saw this. He said, I believe he was talking about starting a business, but I think you can apply this to starting anything in life. Just like Jose said, you never know if it's going to fucking work. We don't know if this podcast is going to be a fucking billion fucking, view podcast or some crazy shit. We don't know. We don't know what this shit entails. We don't know what our other businesses entail. We don't know what tomorrow's going to hold. And he said, starting a business, or again, starting anything new, is like staring into the abyss while eating glass. Basically, you don't know what the fuck is going to happen. And while you don't know what the fuck is going to happen, the shit sucks. It's hard damn work. To y'all, it might just seem like, okay, I get a podcast every now and again. Like, this is cool. No. This is hard work to be able to set this up, do this on a regular fucking basis with all the other shit that we have to fucking do. Employees, training, hiring, firing, paying shit. It's hard fucking work. People think that they can just get into podcasting and it just be, whatever, willy-nilly, I'm gonna just do this and it just work, overnight. Unless you're fucking Rihanna or some shit like that, it's not gonna work like that.
And let's be clear here. We don't just have a podcast. We have 5 camera angles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on top of that, we have microphones. We color grade this shit. We have a lighting setup. Some people may succeed with clout. We've seen success with quality of production, quality of content.
And hard fucking work.
But I digress.
So doing this is like eating the glass.
A lot of fucking glass.
It's painful until you reach the fucking top or until you get past the long fucking trek of darkness and you start seeing the light. It's going to be painful. And you don't know what's going to happen. But you have to fucking try it. If you want more out of life, you have no option but to try it. Because, this is another quote, loosely, someone was saying, what do I look like quitting today when tomorrow could be the day where I win it all? So what do you look like not trying something and you could hit it all in a year or two if you would have just kept going? Or if you would have just tried? You never fucking know. You might be the next Elon Musk. You might be the next whoever. You never know until you try. And I think David Goggins said this the best in his quote. And he was talking about when he passed and he got to heaven. And he's at the gates and God is reading him what he accomplished in life. And he's saying, hey, you accomplished, this world's longest marathon. You did all this. You went how many tours in Afghanistan? You did this, all these great accolades. And he was like, wait, that's not me. I didn't do that. And then God says, oh, that's what you were supposed to do. That's what I made you to do. But you didn't do it. So just think about your life like that. You have all these things that you could do, a large realm of possibilities that you could be able to do. But it's all about you accepting the challenge and taking on that challenge of doing it and of pursuing it. And once you do that, these large array of options, the things that you might say, that seems kind of impossible, all become more possible. Day by day, the more you work, you get closer and closer to making those things that seemed impossible to becoming very possible, to becoming very tangible, to becoming a reality. So don't be scared. Don't be a pussy. Accept the challenge. Take on the challenge. We're all taking on the challenge right now. Jose and I, take it on with us. Fight the good fight. And it looks like you have something that you want to say. Go ahead.
I was doing some research here. I have to figure out certain financial things, as is always my job to figure out financial things. Austin knows this. At this point, I have an MBA. I have a PhD in accounting, but I wouldn't go about it by their recommendations. So I'm pretty sure Austin saw me sitting here like this while I was reading a certain thing. Good reaction. But I remembered something that I read from Chris Williamson. And it's very interesting because I want to tie this into this topic. You might say the challenge is uncomfortable. I don't like feeling uncomfortable. It's like being cold. It's like being in pain when you work out. It's like just being in an uncertain situation where it just doesn't feel good. And I understand. I sympathize for it, even though the macho in me wants to be like, no, fuck that. You should never. No, I get it. Like it's nice to sleep in a bed. It's nice to have AC, or in the winter, it's nice to have a heater. It's nice to have a full stomach. It's nice to eat good food. It's nice to do all these things. But there is pleasure in pain and suffering. When you run, when you're done, it feels amazing. It feels like shit in the moment, but it feels amazing when you're done. When you're doing something excellent, you need to find a way to find pleasure in those negatives. And I'm going to read this tweet from Chris Williamson. It's actually in his podcast, but I'm going to read the tweet anyways because, he summarizes it here. Genius when it comes to mixing up content. We got to do this, Austin. Excuse me. We're drinking something very bubbly here, and I'm getting the bubble effects. Why framing is everything. Things are not what they are. They are what we think they are. For instance, doing a hard workout gives you a signature feeling. You're laid on the floor, panting, heart rate at 180, sweating from everywhere with the taste of metal in your mouth. This is oddly enjoyable. But if this exact same sensation was to spontaneously occur in your car while sat in traffic, you'd call the ambulance for fear you're having a heart attack. Framing is everything. Sometimes you just want to stand in the corner and stare out of the window. The problem is when you're not smoking and staring out of the window, you're an antisocial, friendless idiot. If you stand and stare out of the window with a cigarette, you're a fucking philosopher. The power of reframing things cannot be overstated, and that's from Rory Sutherland. That's a quote within a quote. But essentially, the key point here is the moment and the mindset in the moment is what counts. Because there's been days where Austin and I have pulled 48-hour days. We've been exhausted, we've been tired, we've been broke, we've been sleeping on the floor, we've done all kinds of bullshit. cockroach infested situations. You even saw one on the podcast. That was a one-off. We've had much, much, much worse. But you could look at the moment and be like, oh, poor me, this is fucking terrible, yada, yada, yada. But in reality, you just kind of take pleasure in it because you know what it is. You know that you feel like shit, you're going through hard things and X, Y, Z, but you all know that it has a payoff that's inevitably going to come because you're working towards it. You understand why you're doing it and you understand where you're headed. You've set that trajectory and you know that either you hit it or you don't, but you're choosing to go in that direction. So you're hitting those milestones along the way. And so it no longer seems like pain and suffering. You're like, I'm fucking tired, but look at all the shit we're doing. Look at all the shit we've done, right? Look at the people who are going to be here tomorrow. And look at the things we're going to do tomorrow. Look at the things we just did today. But I'm exhausted. But it all makes sense.
And shit, you know, you could even be here tomorrow at one of our next events if you exactly. If you subscribe to the Patreon and, you know, like, comment, and subscribe, you can even be here at one of our events as well and partake in, you know, the networking and cigars and everything that we provide and great views, great vibes, everything. So, but anyway, I'll say this, Ten. I'd much rather feel like shit working towards something and giving it my all for something that I give a fuck about than feeling like shit doing something that I could care less about. A lot of people are out there right now feeling like shit because they're not doing shit and they don't like their current circumstances. They're not working towards anything else either. They're doing what someone else wants them to do. Now, I'd rather put blood, sweat, and tears into something I care about as opposed to putting blood, sweat, and tears into something that I could give two shits about. So, if you're going to experience that pain, and we all experience pain one way or another, I'd rather experience pain out in the battlefield as opposed to inside on the couch. One, I'm doing something for me. I'm doing something for society. I'm doing something for the world. That pain, that suffering, it means something. The other, I'm just sitting on the couch in pain, suffering because of my lack of action and lack of will to do better, to be better, and to make the world better. So,
The AM Club Podcast.
Signing out. Mic check.
The AM Club Podcast.